Lucas Miles Show.
Welcome to the Lucas Miles Show. I'm your host, Lucas Miles. Welcome to the Lucas Miles Show. I'm your host, Lucas Miles, and I have another amazing episode for you today. This is coming out of our NRB archives, National Religious Broadcasters, recorded there. And our guest today is Dallas Jenkins. Dallas is a friend. He's been on the show before, and he's here to talk about his new project, The Chosen, which is finally available for you to be able to see. So after the interview, make sure and check this out. You can go over to thechosen.tv, or you can head over to VidAngel, which is the platform that's available on. And The Chosen is, it's literally like exploding Hollywood's mind. They can't handle it because this project has broken a world record on the most money raised through crowdfunding. And they have about 15,000 either donors, some of them are investors, that have come into this project. And the total contribution or the total investment through these 15,000 people is now over $10 million. It's never been done before. It's incredible. Dallas tells us the story today on how that happened. He also talks about really overcoming past failures. He talks about a film that he had 2 years back and how he thought this was going to really hit and it didn't. And coming out of that experience, just what his mindset was and how that really led to The Chosen, which is now the first and only ongoing TV series about the life of Christ. There's been many series, there's been, films, there's been those kind of things, but there's never been a TV show, an ongoing series about the life of Christ. It's Netflix style. It's just fabulous the way they put this thing together. You're going to love it, and definitely make sure and head over to thechosen.tv to check it out. Dallas also talks about, and I love this part in the episode, he talks about really learning to find approval in God rather than through critics, rather than through Hollywood, rather than through fans, all these things, likes, whatever it is. And I think that's such an important concept for us today, for all of us. You don't have to be in the entertainment industry to deal with needing approval from man. And I think it's something that's common to all of us that we have to learn how to overcome and recognize that we, first and foremost, we're living for him. And I think Dallas is just a great example of that. I appreciate his friendship, appreciate his work. I think you're going to appreciate this interview. But before we do, this episode is brought to you by Cove. You head over to covesmart.com to find out more. My house is protected by Cove, 5-star home security system without contracts or headaches. Head over there and you can check out their system, all the different products that they have from door sensors, window sensors, home cameras. You can tie it in with an app. I can pull up my house right now, flip through the cameras, see what my dog and cat are doing, make sure everybody's safe. I travel a lot. It's a really great thing for, our family. I think you're going to enjoy it as well. Head over to covesmart.com. I want to thank them for their sponsorship. And with that, here is the episode, Dallas Jenkins. Welcome to the Lucas Miles Show. I'm your host, Lucas Miles, and I am here with my guest today, Dallas Jenkins of the new TV. This is like, it's a movement. It's a phenomenon. The whole deal, The Chosen. And if you haven't heard about it, you're living under a rock because this thing is huge. And Dallas, it's great to have you back on the program.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's been quite a ride, so I'm happy to talk about it.
You've been on the show before, and if I remember right, I don't think you guys had started filming yet.
Yeah, for sure.
I think it was right before you guys were headed down to Texas to film. And, we talked a little bit about, because I shot a movie down at Capernaum Village, and I've now realized that the dumbest thing I ever did was not waiting, because I didn't wait till after you guys finished, because I've seen the pictures of everything that you guys did and the set dressing there and just took it to a whole nother level. So I'm kicking myself for going before you and should have been after. But it's been a ride. I know that. Talk to us a little bit about The Chosen and what's happening and what people can expect.
Well, it started with this short film that I did for my church about a year and a half ago. It was intended just for our Christmas Eve service. And it was about the birth of Christ from the perspective of the shepherds. And while I was doing that, I had this idea for a multi-season show about the life of Christ, but doing it from primarily the perspectives of those he met. So long story short, that short film was used to as essentially as a tool for people to get interested in the series, and if they were interested, to potentially invest. And it was all this money was raised through crowdfunding, which I thought was never going to work. I thought it was a really ridiculous idea. But we ended up shattering the all-time crowdfunding record and raising over $10 million from over 15,000 people from around the world. And so we were able to shoot the first 4 episodes of season 1 in Texas. And you mentioned Capernaum Village, which is this set out in the middle of nowhere in Texas.
I can vouch for that.
Yeah, it's literally out in the middle of nowhere.
It's like Copperheads.
Right. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the whole deal.
Yeah, but this woman just kind of built this set that people can tour and see. It's a first century Capernaum village, and our first season is set in Capernaum. And so we shot there for a couple of weeks and then went to a stage in Dallas and shot our interiors there. And so the first 4 episodes are done and they're being completed now, and they are going to be pre-released to the public in April. So it's been pretty much nonstop. I mean, from the time that we started doing the fundraising, while we were doing the fundraising, the scripts had been written, and so we're getting ready to shoot. And then when we're shooting, we're marketing the show. I mean, it's been a little crazy.
I was getting ready this morning, thinking about our interview coming up here. First one of the day. And
the most important interview.
The most important. I want to
far.
make sure I'm fresh for the best one. So that's what we're doing here. And I was putting on this shirt that I have on here, and so if you're listening to this on a podcast, it's a kind of a white dress shirt. It's pretty simple, and crisp collar and everything. And I got this in Hollywood. I was there for an event, and I realized I forgot clothes back home. So I went to one of these suit shops in Hollywood. And there was this guy there in, some sort of country in the Middle East or something that he was from, and I'm looking at trying on stuff. He goes, I tell him what I'm doing. He goes, this shirt here, he goes, it will be the most uncomfortable shirt that you own. He goes, but it will look the best of any that you have.
Oh, okay.
And I thought that describes the filmmaking process if you do it right, because it's so hard and challenging, the things we put ourselves through, but the end, to be able to get something that you can stand back and go, now look at that.
Yeah. My dad, who's the author of the Left Behind series and has written almost 200 books in his life, he says a lot, I'm not sure I love writing books. I love having written a book. And I feel like that way, about filmmaking is I don't know that I love making shows and movies as much as I love having made them. The process of The Chosen has been for sure the most rewarding project of my life because, again, the success in the crowdfunding was amazing and miraculous, and the first 4 episodes have turned out to be beyond our expectations. But the process of it is, 2018 was probably the hardest year of my life, which many people would scoff at, saying, well, you raised $10 million and you got to do your dream show.
Right.
How can you say that? But I had left my job at the end of 2017 without a safety net. I didn't know what was doing next. I was hoping this show would work out, but we didn't know. So I didn't have benefits. I didn't have a salary. And during that 5 to 6 month period where I did not have a source of income, we had as many health problems in our family as we'd had the previous 20 years combined. And then the shooting process was, we really thought a lot about Exodus when God provided manna to the Israelites, and He specifically said, "Don't store up your manna because if you do, I'll make it rot. I do not want you to be expecting anything more than what you get each day." And so every day for the last year plus has begun with our hands outstretched, going, "Okay, please bring the manna." And He always has provided just enough to get us through that day, but never more than that to make us comfortable. So this process, again, it's been very rewarding, and we're excited to debut the series, and people have been excited about it, and the trailer has been exciting, but it has not been a fun process or a comfortable one on any conceivable level. Except for this interview. This has been fun and comfortable and a respite in the midst of the storm.
Well, that's really what we try to be here at the Lucas Miles Show, is a respite for all the artists and dreamers and filmmakers and extraordinaires of the world. So, what's next for the project? You're at this stage. What are you walking through as you go forward from here?
Right. So right now, as we sit, when people are listening or watching, I don't know when when exactly that'll be, but right now we are finishing up the first 4 episodes, which will be done probably in the next week and a half or so. We're here at NRB showing episode 1, showing the trailer, building up some excitement for it. Those first 4 episodes will be released as a pre-release the week of Easter. So they come out publicly, like on the VidAngel streaming service in November. But if people want to watch them in advance, Easter week, or anytime up until Thanksgiving, they can purchase them. So you can see episode 1 for free. But if you want to see more episodes, you can purchase them in advance. You can get early access. And the cool thing is, purchasing early access to this show not only allows you to watch the show in advance and get some DVDs you can give to people, but also it helps fund future seasons. Because again, we're doing this outside the Hollywood system, so we didn't get a check written for $50 million to cover several seasons. We just have enough manna for the day. So we've got enough to have to finish our first 4 episodes, to get started on the next 4. So we'll be shooting episodes 5 through 8, most likely in June, July of this summer. The scripts are being written as we speak. So, it's a nonstop process. It's a daily process. So hopefully the excitement level in April will be such that people can watch the show, but also by doing so can help finance future seasons.
I feel like that Hollywood, and you and I both know that that's not a city. It's a thing. It's this,
an international blob.
Yes, and ever changing in that regard as well. But for lack of a better term, and just staying with that stereotype, is it has a tendency to kind of perk up its ears when I think the faith community does something right.
Sure.
We look back, the Passion of the Christ being one of the early ones in that. Something like God's Not Dead.
Sure.
More recently, I Can Only Imagine.
Absolutely.
And people are kind of going like, we didn't think this was going to do anything, and it just did $100 million or something like that. How have you had responses from people that maybe that you didn't expect to either comment on this, see it, reach out to you, that are saying like, what are you guys doing to do this, and how do we do it ourselves now?
Yeah, for sure. Because like you said, whenever these projects succeed, the ears of Hollywood don't perk up until literally the Monday morning after the box office results come in. I mean, all the way up until the results, there's just this, whether it's ignorance of it, not willful, just not really knowing much about it, or just a downright lack of interest. Monday morning they'll go, oh my goodness, where did that come from? Now, to be fair, for every big success story that you hear about, there's also enough failures, including my own. I mean, I had a movie that came out a year and a half ago, now it's 2 years now, that bombed at the box office. And it had a little bit of fanfare going into it. It was done with some big production companies. They thought it was going to be successful, and it bombed, which is, of course, what ultimately led to this show. But when they heard, some people heard about The Chosen doing crowdfunding, and they just ignored it. And they were even ignoring it when we were at 4 million, 5 million. Once we hit 10 million, there was definitely, like, I've heard the phrase, I've heard a phrase that included a 4-letter word from Hollywood executives, no doubt, no less than 50 times.
We'll include that in the show notes.
Right. Where they'll go, oh, that's nice. What are you doing? On a show, and it's crowdfunding. Oh, nice. And then when we mention the numbers, they usually express some level of expletive. But I've also heard from people who said, oh my gosh, I just had a meeting yesterday where this came up, and how did you do that? And how did you, so we've definitely had people reaching out, because, $10 million in crowdfunding where the previous record was 5.7, for sure perks up their ears, like you said. But again, as recently as a year and a half ago, I was really eager to know that, and eager to, I wanted, whether it's approval or connections with Hollywood or Hollywood executives or producers or whatever. I genuinely don't care now. I mean, just spiritually, I've arrived at that point where I'm not seeking approval anymore in my life. I mean, that's my own personal journey that's happened over the last 2 years. And so we're not even really paying attention to that. We're just really focused on our audience and our partners and the 15,000 people who spent the money and took the time to partner with us. And so when someone reaches out, we're like, yeah, here's what happened, but we don't need
that
much
information
more than
anymore.
Yeah.
And I think that's any time a project gets to that place, or we get to that place personally, that we can just stay in our lane and not have to worry about what everybody else is doing.
Yeah, and if someone came along and said, "Oh my goodness, now we want to actually put up $10 million for season 2,"
right?
It would not be an easy decision. We would probably just say, "Yeah, maybe I don't know that we want to do it that way."
Our people will call your people.
Yeah,
kind of thing.
Right.
I think that's the appropriate response there.
Exactly. Our 15,000 investors will call your 15,000 investors. But yeah, I think we really. I think we like this notion of being able to maintain the control of the project. We really want to protect that. I mean, we just had a meeting last night, all the partners, the 5 of us, where we were just saying we want to make sure that if this thing continues to grow, that we don't let that get ahead of us, that we are really maintaining our focus on doing this for the Lord, doing this for the right reasons, and maintaining our integrity and care for the people who got us here.
From a, because and I think the people that are drawn to my show are, they're entrepreneurial, they're dreamers, they like supporting Christian film projects, TV, etc. And I think they also like hearing the behind the scenes of what those things go through. And of course we want to cover before we're done the when and where, and go to this website and these sort of things. But I know a lot of the people on the team that you've assembled, and just some phenomenal people, and guys like, one of your executive producers, Matthew Ferracci, also having Rabbi Jason Sobel being part of this, as kind of advisor. I mean, talk to me about the team process, because I think that it's, I see a lot of filmmakers and even a lot of business owners being kind of an army of one. And one of my favorite quotes is, working alone has its benefits, but survival is not one of them.
Right.
And so,
well said.
How has this team process been for you guys in really seeing the success of The Chosen come about?
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't have happened without it. So Matthew is the one who was not only friends with me and had worked with me before, but he also worked with VidAngel, which is the streaming service, this kind of on-the-rise streaming service that he was working with. And the Harmon brothers, who own VidAngel, also own one of the most successful viral video marketing agencies in the world. So
I met Neil last night. I got to talk to him for quite a while. This is the first time.
So they've done Poopery and Squatty Potty and Purple Mattress and all these huge.
And I have a purple pillow, and I like it.
Yeah, well, then they you may have heard of it because of them. I mean, these
100%.
These guys are amazing. And so when they saw the pilot episode, the Christmas episode that we did, they flipped out and immediately saw the vision for this. It was their idea to do the crowdfunding. They're outside the box thinkers. They're some of the smartest guys I've ever met in this business or outside this business. They connected me with my current partner, Daryl Eves, who's one of the top social media branding experts and consultants in the world. So it's this team of, like you said, entrepreneurs, marketing guys, but all in slightly different fields with slightly different strengths and weaknesses. And we all combined pretty quickly and, kind of filled in each other's gaps pretty quickly and pretty astonishingly. And so it's been awesome for me personally, because I really get a chance to oftentimes be wrong. I'm oftentimes outflanked by my partners who come up with better ideas than I have. And that's a really comforting place to be, because again, for an entrepreneur like myself, or someone who's oftentimes been the main guy at the table organizing everything, I'm not that good. I'm good at some things, and I'm not falsely modest about that. I have some strengths that I'm proud of and that I utilize to the best of my ability. But when I'm having to do other things that are not my wheelhouse, it's a scary place to be. I don't have that kind of pride that says I can do it all. So having these guys, they're the ones who said this crowdfunding thing is going to work, and I thought it was ridiculous. I mean, this is one of those cases where I was very happy to be very wrong.
What was it like for you trusting that process? Because when you have that artistic bent, you have this dream, this vision that you want to bring about, and somebody goes, "Let's do it like this."
Right.
There's that thought in the back of your mind, of, well, I got to make sure and protect this baby here that I'm, cultivating. And
yeah.
What was that like for you emotionally going through that?
Well, that's the beauty of it, is that doing it this crowdfunding way and working with VidAngel they're very creator protective, meaning they honor the vision of the creators of a project. And so part of the deal was that the content was still ours. And so I'm able to really own my lane in this project. So that was important. And especially for a project like this about the life of Christ, the content is everything, and we can't have that be at all compromised. So they were very supportive of that, which was cool. But yeah, I really love, I feel it gives me a sense of freedom that I can be part of the content and kind of own that piece, but not have to be responsible for everything else. So I've loved that process and have been excited about the fact that, like I said, some of their concepts and ideas have been far beyond and have worked way better than I thought they would. And so now I know I can deliver on my side, and we can kind of just impress each other with our various strengths and not have to necessarily worry about our weaknesses being exposed, because we kind of fill in those gaps for each other.
Let's talk a little bit in a few minutes we have left here about the some of the creative decisions within The Chosen.
Yeah.
I know that there's some actors in here that have some rich history and doing some really deep character acting and these things. But it's you didn't set out to do what maybe some faith producers do that go, who's the hot name in Hollywood and let's put him front and center. There seemed to be an intentional decision to have this cast be. Just I don't even want to give words to that. Just a mindset that went into casting this. Can you talk to us about the thought process as you went to sitting down and going, who's going to play these roles?
Yeah, it was 100% based on, who's the best for the part. We're striving for authenticity 100%, and we didn't want to be distracting at any point. I mean, the star of the show is the content. I mean, it's a show about Jesus and the disciples, so we don't necessarily need star actors to bring attention to the story. So that we were able to be like, we were lucky in that regard that we don't have to find stars. I think that sometimes, especially in Bible projects, when you have a star, it can sometimes be distracting, especially in a Jesus project.
That's not Jesus, that's Kevin Costner.
Right. So the one role that we get where we got an actor who most people recognize his face is the character of Nicodemus. We got an actor by the name of Eric Avari, who most people wouldn't know his name, but they recognize his face. He was my first choice. And but again, he was chosen because he's a phenomenal actor.
Right.
And his performance as Nicodemus is just astonishingly good. But all the other actors, a lot of them are newcomers. I mean, no one has seen them before. But again, we were striving for authenticity above all else. And so the performances, the look, again, trying to make sure that this wasn't white European Jesus show.
Right.
It's they really do look ethnic, and they look like what the people probably looked like 2,000 years ago in the Middle East. So that was our number one. We just decided to make we just made a conscious effort to make sure that our decisions were based on authenticity and quality for the parts. And that was really freeing. And so we were able to choose the best actors for each role, and I think we did that.
Awesome. I love it. Dallas, thank you for being with us today. If people want to find out more about The Chosen, where do they go to do that?
Yeah, so www.thechosen.tv. Thechosen.tv is, depending on when this airs, you can go and watch episode 1 for free. And if you love episode 1 and you want to see more, you have an opportunity during, most of 2019 to purchase and download and order episode, all 4 episodes. They come out publicly in the fall, where on the VidAngel streaming service, where you can get a free month. But for now, the website, thechosen.tv, is where you can see all our behind the scenes stuff, all our videos, and then of course watch episodes 1 through 4.
I love it. I'm going to be sneaking in the screening room later on this week to check out episode 1, and can't wait to see that. Thank you for being on the program. Best of luck. And
let me mention one more thing,
please.
if you don't mind. I keep forgetting to mention the book. We have this devotional book.
I'm sorry.
The Chosen 40 Days with Jesus, which is the companion devotional. Now, the cool thing about the book is it could exist even if the show didn't. It has the same approach that the show does, which is to explore the stories and the backstories of these characters that Jesus encountered. And we believe that if the audience who watches the show or the readers of the devotional book can encounter Jesus through the eyes of those who actually met him, they can be changed in the same way. And so the devotional book has really been blessing people as well, because it's not only a companion piece to the show, but it enriches your own walk with Christ, because you really get deeper into these
and
stories.
Probably a great resource for small groups and churches that want to kind of watch the episodes together and sit down and talk through them and everything else.
So it's great to prepare for the show with this devotional. It's great during the show and after the show. It works. It was really designed to be not only a companion piece for the show, but again, if you're just looking to enrich your walk with Christ, it's 40 devotional entries that all take you deeper into these stories.
I love it. We'll give links to all of that on our show notes. Dallas, thank you so much for being on the Lucas Miles Show today. Welcome back anytime.
Yeah, absolutely. Always good to see you.
Thanks.